All right, so you're thinking about moving to Statesville, North Carolina, and you're probably wondering, what do the people that already live here actually love about Statesville? Well, in this video, I'm gonna go over 10 things that you are asking me about what it is that people love about living here. Let's get into the video. Hey, my name is Austin, and I make videos about what it is like to move to or live in the Lake Norman area of North Carolina. And today we're gonna be covering another fantastic one. We're gonna be going over what people actually love about living in Statesville. All right, now the first thing that people actually love living about here, and the first question is it actually peaceful? All right, now Statesville is actually a peaceful town to live in on the Lake Norman area. Now what you're gonna find in Statesville is it is a slower pace in comparison to places like Mooresville and Huntersville. Now it is genuinely quieter here than places like Mooresville and Huntersville because unlike Statesville, those two actually have a ton of restaurants and shopping, and they're actually just closer to Charlotte. Now you'll find that Statesville is actually about a 45-minute drive from Charlotte. You'll see that I-77 traffic in Statesville, that's usually where it all comes to an end. And then you also have I-40 that runs through Statesville, and that really doesn't have any traffic on it at all. Right now, in comparison to Mooresville and Huntersville and the rest of the Lake Norman towns, the traffic in Statesville is much less. All right, so if you are trying to get away from that traffic, that city vibe, what you can find in Statesville is that it is just much more relaxed and a lot more peaceful. All right, number 2 question, can I get more house for my money, or am I giving up something? Now in Statesville, you can get a lot more house for your money just because, again, you are much farther away from the big city of Charlotte. Now the median home value in Statesville is under $300,000 on Zillow, but what you're gonna see is that Statesville actually has a really wide variety of housing options, right? You have access to Lake Norman, you have old Victorian style homes, you have beautiful country club estates, older colonial style homes, and a lot of new builds as well. There's a good amount of new builds in Statesville. Now the big thing is that you actually get more house for your money. A new build starter home in Mooresville, you're looking at the low to mid 4s. And in Statesville, you can actually see that those are starting in the high 3s to low 4s. Now that is about a 25-minute drive difference, but you will see that you just get more house for your money here. And you're seeing that a lot of these older colonial homes, homes like Statesville Country Club, you're gonna get a lot more home and a lot more land as well for the price. All right, so in Statesville, what the folks here do love is that they're not really getting squeezed out of every dollar for that home that fits their needs. All right, number 3, and that is the downtown good or is it just okay? All right, now what you will see is that Statesville's downtown is still developing. Right, there are some good, well-established restaurants like Twisted Oak and Broad Street Burger, and they have some shops down there as well, but we are also seeing that there are still some vacant properties downtown. All right, now when you compare it to places like Mooresville's downtown, which is a little bit busier, and Davidson's downtown, which is fantastic, Statesville's downtown is still legit. And what you will see with Statesville's downtown, albeit that it is a little bit less popular in comparison to places like Mooresville and Davidson, there are still a ton of fantastic options. Now on top of that, Statesville is also very community involved, right? You have summer concerts in Statesville's downtown. You have movie nights in Statesville's downtown as well. And Statesville does a fantastic job of just keeping Statesville's downtown area just really clean. You're gonna see some beautiful red brick buildings, there's tons of parking, and on top of it, Statesville's downtown parking is completely free. Hey, real quick, I hope you're enjoying the video. If you are getting any value out of this, please consider liking and subscribing, as I do make 2 videos per week, every week, on what it is like to move to the Lake Norman area of North Carolina. And as much as I love making these videos, I am a licensed real estate broker in the state of North Carolina. So if you have any questions, don't just rely on these videos. Please feel free to reach out. I'd love to help. That number that is popping up below, I am the person that answers every phone call, every text message, and every email. All right, with that being said, let's get back into the video. All right, number 4, are there local places that I'll actually hang out at? And I personally think there are. Now, there are some good places downtown like Twisted Oak. That is an American restaurant and bar. You also have Broad Street Burger, which is pretty good burgers. You have Red Buffalo and Southern Distilling. And if you're looking for like a really good coffee shop, Lake Mountain Coffee downtown, which is actually right next to FTW Gaming. Fantastic coffee. I like to go there and just read. And I wouldn't really call it like a hangout spot, but Groucho's Deli downtown Statesville is also phenomenal. All right, so while there are chains in Statesville towards the Turnersburg Highway and towards the Interstate Junction, the downtown area is just filled with local hotspots. All right, our next question, number 5, how is the commute? And I mean, like, how is it really, right? Now, if you are commuting to Charlotte, I will say 45 minutes minimum on a good day if you're taking the express lane. Now, if you were living in Statesville and you have no intentions of going down to Charlotte, then it is fantastic. Now, Statesville is about 40 minutes east of Hickory, and it is about 40 minutes southwest of Winston. Now, both of these options are fantastic, all right? You don't need to go to Statesville for everything unless you're trying to go to like see a professional sports game, all right? I know the Carolina Panthers are down in Charlotte, but if you're looking for like shopping or really, really good restaurants, you don't even have to go down I-77. Statesville is at the I-77 and I-40 junction, and there are phenomenal restaurants out west in Hickory, like Kawasaki, fantastic Asian food. And going up into Winston, you have fantastic restaurant options as well. So for the folks that don't need to go down to Charlotte, Statesville is a fantastic option, and they love that. Now, if you do need to go down to Charlotte, just be mindful your commute will get pretty extensive. There are a lot of bottlenecks on I-77, and it gets a little chaotic. All right, question number 6, what is the lifestyle like for families with kids? All right, now there are a ton of things that you can do in Statesville, and I like to think just Lake Norman in general and Statesville, it's just built for the outdoor enthusiasts. All right, now Statesville in general has a ton of parks, and you're gonna see there are a lot of youth sports in Statesville as well. Now we'll go over some parks and a rec center. Now the Statesville Rec Center has a full gym, basketball courts, it has a rock climbing wall, which is pretty cool in my opinion. There is disc golf in Statesville. You have trails. There's a water park in Statesville as well. It's a little tiny. I'm not gonna say it's like going to Six Flags, but it is still fun, and it's like right in the center of town. There's a massive soccer complex in Statesville with a few kids' playgrounds. There's a lot of different soccer fields. Again, that also just connects right to where the disc golf and the trails are. You have options like pickleball at Caldwell Park, tennis at Caldwell Park. There's a ton of tennis courts and pickleball courts at Caldwell Park. Statesville is also currently adding some new pickleball courts as well at another park. All right, this place is just loaded with parks. All right, now on top of that, we are really close to Lake Norman and Lake Norman State Park. Right, Lake Norman State Park has over 38 miles of trails. It has a beach. It has places to go fishing. If you're big into boating, kayaking, jet skis, there's a boat launch there as well for you to get onto Lake Norman. And on top of all that, Statesville is just a fantastic location if you want to go west into the mountains. You're only about an hour and change from places like Boone and Blowing Rock, maybe an hour and a half to places like Beach Mountain. And from there, you're into the mountains, right? It is gorgeous. The Appalachians are fantastic, and Statesville is really close by. And on top of that, Statesville is also a great location centrally. If you wanted to go to, say, like Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, there's also some parts in North Carolina that are about 3.5 hours away. And if you're looking for a really, really nice beach, you can go up to Duck or the Drive-On Beach in Corolla. And that is about 5.5 hours away. All right, so it's a slower family-paced lifestyle. You have a ton of outdoor options. You have events, the Carolina Balloon Fest, movie in the park. So yeah, plenty of things to do in Statesville for you and for the kids. All right, number 7, it's just gonna be about location in general. Now I've already covered this in other sections, bits and pieces. So I'm just gonna cover like proximity to certain things. Now, I have some friends that say that Statesville is 30 minutes from everything. And I kind of agree, right? You're 35 minutes from Hickory, you're less than 30 minutes down to Mooresville, you're 40 minutes from Winston. You can get to Lake Norman State Park in under 30 minutes as well. So you have a lot of different things that you can do in a 30-minute radius. You're 45 minutes to uptown Charlotte. Now it's with the express lane. Without the express lane during rush hour, it's probably about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45 minutes. But in Charlotte, you have access to pro sporting events. You have the Panthers, you have the Charlotte Hornets, you have places like Front Porch Market, some great markets. And in general, Charlotte's a really fun town to go to. All right, so if you wanted to go out, go shopping, go to restaurants, go and have some fun extracurriculars, you don't have to sit in I-77's traffic in Statesville. You have other options. All right, number 8, and that question is Statesville changing and is it a good thing? And I will say that yes, Statesville is changing. And in my opinion, I think it's a good thing. All right, I think change is good. I think that Statesville is growing really rapidly, and there needs to be some commercial development, and we have been seeing that here as well. And there are a lot of people moving here. We need new construction homes. All right, now we are getting both of those in Statesville. Now there are some people that will disagree with me and say that change in Statesville is a bad thing, but I will say that Statesville has been behind the curve in terms of development, and that has been intentional. Now a lot of people wanted to keep Statesville small and slower, but you know, everything changes with the times. Now with people that are moving here, we are seeing that like that downtown that still has some open spaces, that downtown has been getting a lot better. We're getting some better shops, we're getting better restaurants. We're seeing development up on the northwest side where places like the Home Depot and the Staples are. And you're gonna see a lot more chain restaurants on the northwest side of Statesville. But every one of these towns along Lake Norman has some type of chain restaurant as well. All right, now I see this as a plus because Statesville is just getting a lot more amenities. All right, we have builders that are investing in the community, and people are just drawn to that buy now before everything gets big type feeling. All right, and I think that's kind of what Statesville has going for it right now. All right, it hasn't grown into what Mooresville or Huntersville is, but I personally think that eventually it will get to that point as well. And I think that's a good thing. All right, question number 9, and that is how close is the lake? Like how close is it actually? Now I covered that Lake Norman State Park is less than 30 minutes from the center of Statesville, but Statesville does actually have real estate that is on Lake Norman. All right, now Statesville, a lot of people think is just this small area right where the junction of I-77 and I-40 is. But Statesville is massive. All right, now Statesville goes far west, almost all the way west over into Conover. And you're gonna see on the west side of Statesville, there are areas where it touches the lake. All right, now from the south side of Statesville, you can actually get to Lake Norman State Park in like 12 to 15 minutes. All right, and then from there, you have access to all those trails, that beautiful scenery, access to the lake, access to that beach, some good fishing. So you are really close to the lake. And lastly, I will add that there is a lot of value in the real estate here, all right? Remember, you get more home for your money because you are further away from that big city, Charlotte. You still have access to the lake. You still have Lake Norman amenities. However, you are not paying those Lake Norman prices that we see in places like Morrisville and Cornelius. All right, and lastly, number 10, it's just like, what are the people like here? Is it friendly? And I will say that everyone that I've talked to that has grown up in Statesville or that has moved here recently, that they all agree, all right? Everyone here is extremely friendly. You can go down to Caldwell Park and play pickleball and just immediately meet another couple and play pickleball with them. You can go to the trails. You're gonna have people waving at you all the time. Lake Norman State Park is a lot of fun, and you're gonna see that that place gets pretty busy, but it doesn't feel like an overwhelming amount of people. You're gonna see that your neighbors talk to each other. The community events bring people together in Statesville, and it is just a fantastic time. So if you're coming from a big city like New York or Chicago, you will see that this community is really centered on like friendliness. All right, so that is going to be 10 questions that I get asked a lot about what it is like to live in Statesville and what people that live here love. Now, I do want to add that I am a licensed real estate broker in the state of North Carolina. So as much as I love making these videos, I would love to help you out with any of those real estate needs that you may have. So that number that is popping up below, I am the person that answers those phone calls, text messages, and emails. All right, with that being said, I'll see y'all in the next one.